Welcome everyone to Chats with Shani. Thank you so much for joining the channel again this week. If you have not yet already, please click the subscribe button below and like this video. Today, we are continuing with our series, CwC, How Did You Do It? Today's guest is a very dear friend of mine and somebody who I studied with as well, Elvina, GOODWIN, CwC. Welcome to Chats with Shani. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Please tell us a bit about yourself, where you're working, your position, and how long you've been qualified for.
Hi, Shani. Thank you for having me. As Shani said, I'm Elvina GOODWIN. We studied together at UWC. So I'm a qualified chartered accountant, qualified in 2017. My current role is a financial manager at a wealth management firm based in South Africa. So I am from Cape Town, that's where I'm based. I grew up in Biala, and I completed my articles at PwC. And then after I completed my articles, I worked for a bit in Bermuda and then a bit in the States. And now I'm back home.
So Elvina, tell us, what made you decide to become a CwC?
If I must be honest, Shani, it's not that I knew I wanted to be a chartered accountant. It took me a couple of years to actually figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I knew after matric, looking at where I grew up, it's not the lifestyle I wanted for myself. And I knew that the only way out was through education. So yes, I passed matric, thank God. But it wasn't the best experience. It was literally the year when my mom had her back operation and our teachers decided to strike that year. So I was literally that student that went to the library and go and check past papers. So thank God I passed matric. After that, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew it would be something in finance, but not really sure what in finance, because I liked maths, I liked economics, and I liked accounting. So I got a permanent job in retail and I went to UNISA. So I did my first year at UNISA in finance. And I passed my first year at UNISA. But if I must be honest with you, it was not the best experience. I realized as soon as I finished my first year, UNISA wasn't for me. Distance learning wasn't for me. I needed to make a major change. And that meant that I actually needed to be in a class, have lecturers, have that type of support. So the following year, I decided to go and enroll at UWC. The only course I could get into was BCom General. UWC did not want to accept my credits from UNISA. So I ended up enrolling yet again as a first year student in a new degree. And it was in my second year of BCom General where I realized that BCom General, I'm wasting my time. Nothing against the course or anything, I knew that it just didn't interest me. And that was also the same year where they were introducing accounting modules. So your basic management accounting. And I was like, yes, this is what I want to do. And in my mind, I just thought, okay, fine, I'm going to be an accountant. So your debits and your credits, that's what I thought, just a normal accountant. And I actually then decided to speak to the lecturer who gave us accounting. And he explained to me what way accounting can actually take you. And it's like, Elvina, have you even considered CwC? And I was like, wait, what is this? and he told me about psych, and he told me about how hard the journey is, but it also explained the opportunities and benefits in all of those. And he's like, why do you want to aim for just being an accountant? Why don't you aim for being a chartered accountant? You do have the potential. So then that meant, Shani, I had to make a change in my degree. Yes, so it was a difficult second year, and mind you, I was still working, and the change wasn't just going to happen automatically. Basically, what I had to end up doing was finish my second year as a BCom General student, pass really well, but then on top of that, I actually had to add additional accounting modules so that when I do transfer into BCom accounting, I'm being transferred as a BCom accounting student. So it just meant that there was no additional courses that I had to like do for when I actually transfer. So thank God everything worked out well. And when I say everything worked out well, like if I remember correctly, for the additional accounting models that I added, and statistics was also one of them. And I'm like, why the hell statistics? So after that, when I actually passed, because I think about you had to like get about 70% or more for those additional modules. So in my second year of BCom General is when I realized that I wanted to be a chartered accountant. It took me a couple of years, but I got there.
No, you definitely did, and you've been so successful in your career as a CASA as well. So Elvina, you said, you started working first in retail, and then you went into UNISA, and then from UNISA you went to UWC. So how long was your journey ultimately to becoming a CASA? And was all the challenges that you've experienced, I mean, you had to take on extra modules in your second year, then convert to become accounting, which, I mean, is not easy in itself. Working while studying in your first year, also not easy at all. So, how long was your journey to becoming a CASA? And also, was the length of time and all the challenges worth it?
I'll definitely say this. I didn't complete the 7 year because it takes you about 7 years to be a chartered accountant. It took me longer. I started my education at UNISA in 2008 and only qualified in 2017. So you can do your own maths. Ups and downs, they definitely were. And I don't regret anything because my journey made me who I am today. My journey made me very strong. That's how people to say. It made me strong and independent and definitely helped me get the position where I'm at today. And yes, working and studying is not for everyone. It could have been better planning from my side if I maybe planned my matric year better or applied for bursaries. But I mean, you have to make do with what you're given in life. And my cause or my choice was to pay for my studies, and my parents helped me where they could, and my brother helped me with where he could as well. I just didn't want to be one of those students who had to repay debt at the end of having a degree. I just didn't want to be one of those cases. So that was my reason for actually working and studying. It was draining. I think I lost a lot of friends along the way. But it was also a shift that I needed because the genuine people stuck with me. It's just I had basically no social life, if I must be honest.
Yeah.
Because all those textbooks and tests and having to prepare, and then also having to prepare on Sunday for tests, or having to prepare on a Friday or on a Thursday for work, it takes a lot of strain on you. But I think with everything, it worked out. When I made the decision in 2008 or end of 2008, when I completed my first year at UNISA, to go and enroll as a full-time student at UNISA, I had to go have a serious discussion with my manager at the time and said, hey, listen, I know that I was employed as a permanent staff member, but is there any way or flexibility that I can be employed as a part-time employee? So which means I would work from Thursdays to Sundays, or from Fridays to Sundays, depending on my schedule. So that also definitely helped with me managing my work responsibilities as well as my studies. But like I said, if you do have the option of getting a bursary, please do apply, because you don't have to add that additional stress to your life. But if you are serious about being a chartered accountant, it just means that you have to push yourself and put yourself through this journey, because at the end of the day, it's gonna add so much value to your life. I really do not regret going through this. So yeah.
That is awesome. And I think, a lot of CAs right now, or students who are still studying, or people who are in the articles, are going to resonate with the fact that you said you had no social life, and that you lost friends along the way. I think all of us have experienced that, where we're studying all the time. We can't go to family functions. We can't meet up with friends for birthdays because we have a test the next morning, or we have an exam the next day. But you said that, that shift had to take place because now you also realized the people who stuck with you, that they were there for you. And, thank you so much for saying that about bursaries. I think that a lot of kids who are in matric don't realize that there are bursaries available. Even at your universities, if you pass with a certain mark in matric, you can get a 70% off at UWC, I think, in your first year, and so forth. So for everyone who is thinking about being a CASA or is currently in the journey at university, please go and apply for those bursaries that have been made available to you. You said that your journey took an extended time. And Elvina, I know your story. I know that there were certain times that you encountered failure and were maybe was let down. Was there any event, special event that took place during 2008 to 2017 that really made you shift your mindset to be like, no matter what comes my way, I am going to be a CASA?
I think that's always been my mindset. So yes, you do know my journey. I'll mention the events that I think were significant in my life, but I'll only speak to one. So me changing my mind from studying at UNISA to UWC was definitely a life-changing event. Me changing my degree from BCom General to BCom Accounting, that was also a life-changing event. Me not making it into honors, that was a bitter pill to swallow, and I'll circle back to that one because that's the one I want to talk about. Me not passing my first board exam, not so devastating. I passed it in June. I passed my APC exam, but it wasn't the best experience. And I'm not sure if you remember, Shani, but the day when we actually got our case study is the same day when my family had bad news or received bad news, and we were dealing with loss. So for the first 2 days, because we get about 5 days to prepare with our case study. So for the first 2 days, I was emotional. My mind was all over the place. I just couldn't function or focus. But I remember, and I thank God for having placed people like yourself and my APC team, or group in my life, because honestly, I don't think I would have made, I don't think I would have actually been able to pull myself together through that week without your support and you reminding me about Elvina, hey, listen, it's almost the finish line. It's almost the finish line. And you've worked really hard. So thank you so much. I'll forever be grateful for you for that. And I love you for that. So, so circling back to me not making it into honors. Friend, when I say that was a bitter pill, it was a bitter pill. I got at the end of the degree, completing BCom General, BCom Accounting, I got my results and I passed. I was so happy, thrilled. I'm like, yes, mommy, your child has a degree. I'm the first one in my family to have a degree. Yuppie, cool, happy. But at the same time as what I had the high, I had a low, and I found out, yes, I have a degree, but I didn't get into honors, and I couldn't understand why, because I only thought that you had to have an average of 55%, which I had way above that. And I told my mom, no, I'm done with UWC. I don't want to talk to anyone. I am going to go find a job in accounting. And the goal was still to be a chartered accountant. So I told my mom, I'm going to find a job in accounting and I'm going to finish my honors through UNISA. And my mom, being my mom, God bless her, she's like, Elvina, no, you're being emotional. Enjoy your December. Come New Year, let's go to UWC. Let's go sit down with the head of accounting and see where you went wrong and see if there's any other options. because I knew what my journey was at UNISA, and I really didn't like that distance studying. And also the pass rate at UNISA is not the best for honors. And New Year came and I went to go speak to the head of accounting. Or let's say my parents forced me, but thank God they forced me. So we ended up speaking to the head of accounting, and he saw my results and he was very impressed, and he asked a bit about myself, my background, and then he went into my transcript, so my BCom general results, and saw that I made a change, and then he saw my accounting marks and all of that. And then he was also trying to understand why I didn't actually get into honors. And eventually we found out that yes, I had good marks, I had a good average, but one of the other requirements was that you weren't supposed to get a re-evaluation. So in my final exam, I got one re-evaluation, and I think it was for auditing. So I still had a good average, but because I had a re-evaluation, I was automatically disqualified. Didn't matter if I had a 70 or whatever average I had, it didn't matter. And in that moment, he said it's also an eye-opener for the university so that they can now reconsider how they actually select students for honors. Because it's not fair if you've been performing throughout the year and then just have one bad day in your final exam, which I agree. And then he asked me what my plan of action was. Me still being very emotional and bitter. The December holidays didn't help. So he asked me what my plans were, and I told him I'm going to go work in accounting and do my honors through UNISA. And he said there's no way in hell UNISA is going to take the credit for you passing. If this is the marks that you could get while you were studying and working, imagine what your potential is if you quit your job and just focus on your studies. So then I asked him, what does it mean? And he said, Elvina, I know this is a big ask. And I know you are a graduate, but would you consider repeating your final year? And I was like, wait, what? Are you asking me? It's like, I'm asking you to repeat your final year, pass your final year, and then do your honors. Because it's still going to be 2 years, whether or not you repeat your final year and then do honors and pass, or if you go to UNISA. But it's like the only difference is I don't want you to work at Elvina. I want you to come back to UWC. I know that you feel like you're being scarred here, but this is your home. You know the lecturers and you know the program and you already passed it. It's just for you to better your marks. So I went home, thought about it, and he was very serious. He told me, Elvina, I need you to quit your job because you don't need that stress. So I'm like, it's easy for you to say who's going to pay for my studies, who's going to pay for my books. And he's like, if finance is the issue, let's discuss it when you enroll and we'll figure something out. So I ended up enrolling to do my final year again. And if I must be honest with you, Shani, it was the first couple of months was very uncomfortable. Because yet again, I was joining a new class where I didn't know people. And I lost my support because my friends were either in honors or they went to go work. And I mean, I just really didn't have friends if you think about it. And for me to put myself through that, knowing that I was a graduate, was also very painful for me. But also with that feeling came a blessing because I ended up quitting my job. And then a couple of months into the year, I got a call from the university and they were like, Elvina, we're still very much happy with your results and your performance. And we're happy to inform you that we have a bursary for you for 2 years. And I was like, wait, what? I didn't apply for anything. They were like, no, we have a bursary. And I think at that time it was like 80,000. And I was just like, Lord, look at you. And in that moment, I made a promise to myself. I was like, Elvina, if you could put yourself through this and you come out successful at the end of this year, there's no way that you're turning back. You are seeing this through, come what may. Doesn't matter what obstacle you go through, you are seeing this through. And me having to repeat my third year, honestly, prepared me for me not passing my board one. Because when I got my board one results, I wasn't even sad or anything because I knew there's going to be another opportunity. And there was another opportunity. I passed it in June. And, and with all of those failures or disappointments, it definitely made me who I am today. And if I think about it now, if I didn't repeat my final year, I wouldn't have met you. We wouldn't have been friends.
That's true.
Also, the people that I started with at PwC in my first year of articles wouldn't have been the same people. And I have the most beautiful, best relationships with those PwC peers that I now call friends. So yes, it was a setback, but I still managed to finish my CASA journey. So yes, it was devastating, but through all of those experiences, it made me stronger.
You know, I actually remember when you got the news about getting the bursary, you stopped me. I think I was walking up, you know, the UWC spiral in the library. I was walking up and then you told me, Shani, I got the bursary. And I was just so happy for you because I knew your struggle. You were concerned about your finances, but also to everyone, Elvina did well in that third year. Elvina worked really hard. We both made it into honors the next year, and we continued to work hard and pass honors in that one go, and then make it through to PwC the next year. So you did so well, my friend. You conquered so many things. You overcame so many challenges, both within your professional career in terms of your studying and also your personal life. And I think that you are really an inspiration to many out there, and also a role model because you've overcome so much and you're out here shining, living your best life. And you know, on that note, Elvina, you've worked in Bermuda, you've worked in the United States as well. Just tell us a bit about that journey in terms of taking your CASA to the next level and leaving South Africa.
You know what, I never thought that my CASA would open up that kind of doors. I just thought I'm going to have a good life, good salary, have a nice home, and that's about it. But I got all my competencies in my third year around about June. And I had a conversation with one of my managers and he asked me, what's your plans for next year? And that was also around about the same time they were talking about secondments. And I was like, do I actually want to do a secondment? Because I met the requirements for the secondment. I was like, no, actually, let's try and work abroad. And it was a difficult conversation to have with my parents because none of us in my family have ever traveled internationally. We don't have family abroad. So yeah, the daughter saying, hey, mom, dad, I think I'm going to be moving abroad. So literally, I think in August is where I started looking for opportunities, and I ended up contacting Deloitte in Bermuda directly, and I did interviews with them. And it was also the first time I was exposed to different rounds of interviews and panel interviews. I was like, what is this panel interviews? So it went successful, and for the people who want to be chartered accountants, when I say, please go and explore the world abroad, because everything was covered for me. Hey, my flight was covered. I got a sign-on bonus. And I think my first month was also covered like rent-wise in Bermuda. So it's definitely worth it. And the atmosphere on the island. So I can say now that I did not know this, but I am a city girl. Island life is not for me, but the atmosphere and the culture and the food, I'll definitely go back to Bermuda, and I have friends in Bermuda now, and I have places where I can go visit people now. And it's also a very Christian-based community, and they take their Sunday rest serious. When I say they take their Sunday rest serious, there's hardly shops open on the Sunday. Hardly shops open on the Sunday. But it's a beautiful scenery. And if you are looking for that work-life balance, I would say go and try Bermuda. The people, the culture is lovely. And you even have like a small South African community there as well, because they love South Africans there. If I must talk about my states experience, never in my life did I think a colored girl from Bialha would be walking the streets of New York. Honestly, I was watching concerts in Madison Square Garden, and I was like, oh my word, never in my life would I have dreamed about this. So yes, the CISA route is difficult, but it's not impossible. With all my failures, I managed to get there. My journey is going to be different. Your journey is going to be different, as long as you stay motivated and you get to the finish line. It's not a competition, because if I look back at my experience, the people that I started my studies with, I don't know where they are in life now, and it's fine, because people come out of your life in and out like it's nothing, and that's fine. And I can honestly say, with all the experiences that I've gone through, I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't change anything, because that is what makes you and what builds you. So yes, the CISA opportunities and rewards are endless.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Elvina. I remember, in the whole interview process, you was like, Shani, I have another interview. There's another interview coming. I was like, yo, there's so much.
Honestly,
But you spent an amazing amount of time in Bermuda. You traveled, you were working in and out of America as well from Bermuda, and then eventually went into New York City where you were working for a few months. And you, like you said, a colored girl from Bermuda, a colored girl from Baja in New York City. You look around, you see the big lights, you see the big screens, you see the concerts you're going through, Central Park, and you're like, wow,
honestly,
look
wow.
at what I've been able to accomplish, all by the grace of God. And you see that there's so many other people that are sitting in your hometown, that are sitting out in all sorts of towns in South Africa. And you're like, they can do it too. If I can do it,
Yes.
if I can
Okay.
persevere, if I have the motivation, if I have the endurance to complete my studies, to get my CASA or any other designation, then so do they. I mean, Elvina, you have an amazing story, starting from having to work to pay for your studies, then going to UNISA, working part-time, then going to UWC, working part-time until you literally got your degree. Like, please take note, Elvina worked from first year all the way to third year. It was only a second third year that she stopped working, and she exceeded expectations. You exceeded your own expectations. You exceeded the expectations of those people around you, your family and your community, and you excelled. I mean, look how amazingly good she looks right now. So, I am
Thanks.
immensely proud of you. And friend,
Thank you.
I want to take you back to 2017, on that glorious day in Cape Town at PwC in the waterfront, when you got the news that you passed your APC exam. Just take us through that experience. What was it like?
You know what, hey? It wasn't even a level of excitement or anything. No, honestly, I treated that day as a normal work day. I went into my client's office, had all my meetings. My my second years and my first years was asking, oh, why are you working today? Like, I've never seen a third year doing this. I'm like, because I know my two options. It's either I pass or I fail. If I fail, I know I can try again. It's not the end of the world. If I pass, thank God it's done. So I went back to the waterfront and I found out that I passed. It was just a moment of silence. And it was just me telling myself, it's done. It's done. And then I saw my friends and I hugged all of them. And we didn't celebrate like all the other third years, because they went out and partying. No, we literally just sat there for hours and we spoke and we laughed, and that was a nice way of celebrating. It was only a couple of weeks later where my family decided to have a celebration for me getting my my CA designation, and then also getting the offer from Deloitte to join them. It was like their way of celebrating and also sending me off. It was only in that moment. And I don't like being the center of attention. Like my parents literally got a hall, and they got like a buffet, and all the family came down and they gave me a mic to make a speech and all of these things. It was literally in that moment when tears just started pouring out of me, and I realized, oh my God, even me talking about it now, it makes me emotional. I was like, oh my God, what I said I was gonna do, it's actually done. And next week I'm getting on a flight to Bermuda. Like, oh my God, this is crazy. So it was only like a couple of weeks later that it actually sunk in. It's done. I was successful. Yippee. So yeah, that was my experience.
I think some of us also have that delayed reaction, is because you've been waiting for it so long and it happens and you're like, okay, it's here. But then when you really feel that sense of emotion, it's just such a relief, such elation, so much joy that you experience from in you, that all you can do is, shed tears and cry. Elvina, firstly, thank you so much for being on Chats with Shani. I just want to ask you, if just a word of advice to those people that are still currently within their journey to pursuing a CA/SA designation. Do you have any words for them of encouragement?
First of all, I would say, don't let your circumstances define you. There's always a way out. There's always an opportunity. You can always be the change in your family and in your community. Let's first get that out. And I want to say, as you heard from my journey, it doesn't necessarily take you 7 years. It can take you more, but it honestly depends on how serious you are about getting the CA designation. And being a CA/SA doesn't just mean you're going to be an accountant. Like, it can literally take you in so many different avenues. And like I said, I got the experience of working in New York and working in Bermuda. And I can honestly say, based on those experiences, why I have my current role at my company, because I got so much international exposure and had so much exposure to big clients in financial services. So it all depends on what you make of this journey, what you put in. And if it means that you don't have a social life for 7 years, let that be. Because after that 7 years, honestly, that's when life begins. So all the best to you. Keep focused, remind yourself when things are going hard, when things are being difficult, when things are just looks like it's going to be impossible for you to survive. Just remind yourself why it is that you're doing this. And like I said earlier, if I could do it, if Shani can do it, so can you. It's really not the impossible dream to dream. All the best.
Oh, thank you so much, Elvina. You heard it there. Don't let your circumstances define you, and go for your dream, pursue that which you believe in your heart is what you are meant to do. Thank you so much, Elvina, for being a part of Chats with Shani. It was great finally having you on my channel. Love you and appreciate you, and I just wish you all the best, my friend, for your journey, because I know that there's still so much more that you're going to do with your CA/SA. Thank you everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week on Chats with Shani. Bye.
Bye.